6. Let's kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. Let's talk transactions.
Transaction tracker.
So, not a crazy week in transactions. Certainly no blockbusters shaking the league up like we saw last week. The Daddy Warbucks Award of the Week goes to the Tie Man's All-Star, spending $55 on Travis Fulgham or Fulton or Fulgham, however you want to say his name. $55. Buffalo's bid 40, so not a bad bid. Wasn't a whole lot of action on him though. Only 3 teams total bid. Tyler takes the prize. What do you think? Is Fulgham, is he going to be a thing?
I mean, all signs are pointing to yes, but I just don't know if I could see a good receiver coming out of Philly right now. We'll see. It might be a one-hit wonder, but I think you have to, this late in the season, you have to take your chance on a guy like that. If he has 13 targets, who knows? Maybe Wentz kind of finds a little bit of a connection with him, and he turns out to be a stud and all the way to the end of the year. So I think he's worth it. We'll see. I don't know if he's going to pay off just because I don't see an Eagles receiver being that great.
Yeah, I mean, 13 targets has to raise your eyebrows a little bit. That's very strange, and to me, usually points to something of a breakout. But we'll see. They like running their offense through tight ends and running backs, but we'll see if Wentz finds his guy. Another couple interesting comments: the Fat Cat and Tie Man's. Fat Cat spends 30 on Dalton. Tie Man spends 25 on Fitzpatrick. There wasn't a second bid on either of these players. Guys, Tom Brady's on the waiver wire. Matt Ryan's on the waiver wire. Let's stop spending $30 on quarterbacks. You don't need to do it. To me, that feels like a waste of money, and it pretty much puts Tie Man in the poorhouse. He's all in this week and is almost out of money.
Wow.
Yeah, Fat Cat, I think there is reeks of a little desperation with the Dak injury. But to me, with the talent on the waiver wire, he's not going to start Dalton rest of season. So that was a strange one, but I think Fat Cat may have had a couple too much of Grandpa's cough syrup one night and decided to get his man for Dallas.
Yeah, I guess you're just always worried about, am I going to spend 15, 20, 25, whatever it may be, and it just not be enough. So I guess you could go all in. I think Miami, that's just kind of recency bias with them going against the Jets. It just, everyone has a huge boner for him this week. So, Tie Man went out and got Fitzpatrick. I'm going against Tie Man this week, so I'm a little worried with his Fitzpatrick and Devontae Parker stack, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that could be against the Jets. You can fire pretty much anyone.
Yep.
Even stinky Devontae Parker and Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right, The next interesting one kind of flew under the radar. Philip Lindsay for $18. This one had a lot of action, but only people that are bidding $2 and $3. And AE, really sharp move here, gets Philip Lindsay. Melvin Gordon, they say he's still ill. I've had some bad hangovers in my day, but this sounds like a particularly bad one after the DUI. And it looks like Lindsay's going to be getting the totes in New England. So cheeky pickup there, I think.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. I mean, we're talking about Fulham and the 2 quarterbacks. I think that's kind of the pickup of the week there. He could be a stud just for this week, or who knows? Lindsay has a good week and he takes some of the touches from Gordon going forward. So great pickup.
Yeah. One other one that I found a little funny: Pender paying $14 from Miami. There was a couple other bids, but not for a lot of money. Pender has a sick obsession with overpaying for defenses wherever and whenever he can. And that trend is clearly not going anywhere, even with the rebrand to the Cool Cats. He's still Pender.
Still the same guy.
Still the same guy. All right, there's not a whole lot else unless you have something. The only other thing that maybe is interesting is with that pickup of Philip Lindsay, AE dropped Josh Kelly, who he traded for 2 weeks ago, thinking he was going to be, the heir apparent in LA, and that is not looking like it's the case. So that trade, kind of a fail for AE. He sent Jet McKinnon and Devontae Parker basically to get just Josh Kelly, and now he has his walking papers. So a bit of a failed trade. I think Tyler wins that one pretty handily coming out with Parker.
Yeah, agreed. Again, going against him this week, having that Fitzpatrick Parker stack, could be pretty decent going forward. And then obviously Kelly on the waiver, on the free agents, and eventually the waiver wire. So yeah, I think that one goes to Tie Man there.
I do think Josh Kelly will have some suitors because he gets carries and he's a running back and he has a pulse. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see what he goes for. But let's talk matchups in Week 6. We got an interesting board.
Weekly picks.
Let's do it.
We will start at the top. FSL, the 5-0 fantasy sports legend, against the 2-3 Big Daddy AE, trying to stay in the mix, wheeling and dealing. Team looks much different than it did in Week 1. I'm projected 136. He's projected 117. Kyler being projected 20 points when he has not scored less than 27 and plays the Dallas defense, who have been a sieve especially against quarterbacks in fantasy. I think the one kind of fly in the ointment here is DJ Chark is again questionable, and it feels like very questionable. It almost feels like doubtful. So that kind of has a twofold consequence where I don't, typically that wouldn't be a huge problem because I have 3 decent receivers, but Keenan Allen being on bye puts
Yeah.
me in handcuffs a little bit, and it also elevates Laviska Shenault on AE's team to a larger funnel of opportunities with Chark being probably out. So more than likely, if Corey Davis doesn't get activated for the Titans, I will be headed to the waiver wire to start some scrub, and makes this matchup closer than it looks.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie The Perfect Storm?
Oh yeah.
Mark Wahlberg. That's what this feels like for my team in Week 6. Like they go out past the storm. They have a great haul. They catch all the fish. Their freezer breaks. They have a decision. Do they want to get back in and make a ton of money, or stay out and let the storm pass? They decide to go back in, and we all know what happens. But that's where I feel like, right? Because I have Mike Davis, I have Alexander Madison this week with Cook out and CMC out. They're both going to turn back into pumpkins soon. Clearly, with Lev Bell signing in Kansas City, it makes CEH, it doesn't make him worthless. It lowers his ceiling considerably. So it feels like I'm the favorite here. If I can get to 6-0, but the storm is just starting for me because I've
Right.
had some bad news, and a lot of my starters this week are not going to be starters in a few weeks. So it's nice to jump out to an early lead, but I'm headed into the fray, and I need to figure some shit out.
Yeah, I think this is a big week for you to get into to get to 6-0 because, like you said, there's just definitely some question marks with the team going forward. But I think I like you this week. I'm going with FSL. I think I like Big Daddy A's team, but I just think I do like Lindsey this week, and I really like Henry against Houston's
Yeah.
horrible run defense. But I don't know. I think if Chark does play, if Chark doesn't play, there's more of a question mark. But if Chark plays, I think I'm going full FSL this week.
Yeah, I will also take myself. He's missing Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett on bye, so that's a huge break because that stack is terrifying. So I get a nice break there. I think my team this week, I have too many good spot starts with Davis and Madison and Edwards-Helaire with Bell not playing. Even if Chark sits, I think I take this one. I think I move on to 6-0 and into pole position.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, Buffaloes versus the Teflon Don, who many people are saying has checked out. He has not picked up a player. He's not responded to any emails, to any videos. You hate to see it from one of the more storied franchises in the league. I think it says a lot about who you are as a person. Thoughts there, also sitting at 0-5, but still clearly very involved.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I love to see him check out because that just gives me a better chance to claim that 13 spot from him. But yeah, look at this. I think Buffaloes are rolling. I will say having Beasley and John Brown, if the Bills going against that probably will be a shootout in with Kansas City. But again, having kind of two there, it's kind of too many cooks in the kitchen. So I don't know. Looking at this, if the Buffaloes were going to lose one to a bad team, it could be this week. But like you said, Teflon is checking out. I think I'm rolling Buffaloes this week, going with the favorite, going with the chalk. I think with Zeke, Mostert, Kelsey, John Brown coming back, he's been a stud when he's been on the field. So I think the Buffaloes rolling this one.
Yeah, I will also take the chalk. With Josh Jacobs sitting out, literally his only good player, I have a hard time seeing Teflon crack 100 this year, which is something Kipper does on the regular. So I don't think it's in the cards this week.
Yep.
Okay, burnt toast, 2-3 against the 3-2 Tony Horton. Two good teams,
Yep.
who, their records probably aren't indicative of their teams. We do have a little bit of bye week issues on both sides of the ledger. DK Metcalf is missing for Horton, along with Darren Waller, two really big losses. They've been two of the best players at their position in fantasy, along with Chris Carson, who's been just a rock, and everyone thought he was about to miss 3 weeks with a knee, and he comes out and scores 25 points against the Dolphins. He's been a absolute stud. Um, some of the things I'm looking at this matchup, clearly both hampered by bye weeks. I think Aaron Rodgers at Tampa. Rodgers has been a monster. He's projected 18 points, and Cam's projected 21. I think they have that backwards. I have a hard time seeing Cam outscore Rodgers.
Mhm.
Aaron Jones against Tampa. Tampa's a good run D. I don't love the matchups here for Horton. You also have Kareem Hunt at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill at Buffalo. One thing Buffalo's done a good job of limiting big plays over the top, and that's the one part of their defense that still seems to be working a little bit. I think Tony Horton has some issues this week. What do you think?
I agree too, but I think Aaron Jones has been a stud. I think that Pittsburgh game, yeah, that run defense is tough, but Aaron Jones, I think, is one of those guys. He's becoming, a
Like
guy
matchup
every
proof?
week, yeah,
Yeah.
who you can rely on. So I think I'm going Horton this week. He's the favorite, but I like Higbee. I mean, Cooks. I don't know if he can do what he did last week, but maybe this is kind of a turnaround game where Watson found his guy. So I'm going to go Horton with this one, even though it is going to be close, and I do like Burnt Toast a lot. I like his team a lot, but again, McLaurin, he's a stud. But with this with Haskins being out, he didn't do much last game, even though the weather was shitty. But I don't know. I'm going Horton. I think he's gonna pull this one out.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with burnt toast in this one. I think the Newton back against Denver is a bad matchup, even at home. I like Rodgers much more than I like Newton this week, and I worry about his running back matchups. One other point I'd make is DJ Moore has found his way to the bench for burnt toast, coming off a 20-point week. Um, he's starting Marquise Brown over him, who also had 20 points. I think that's a mistake. I think Brown's too volatile. I'd like to see him put DJ Moore back in, but clearly this is the man to call if you need wide receiver depth because he certainly has it.
Yeah, that's insane. Marquise Brown going against Philly, though, I think Philly can give up a ton of points, so he's just probably hoping for a game where he gets 25. Where I guess Chicago always has that scare that for whatever reason, even if their defense isn't great, it always looks like a good defense for whatever reason. So maybe it's
Right.
just looking at the matchup. It's just like I think Marquise Brown can go off. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that starting Marquise Brown, but I mean that's a good problem to have.
Okay. Hard hitters, 3-2 against the 2-3 Fat Cat. Another good matchup. We have a lot of good matchups this week.
Yeah, this is some close ones.
Yep. A little bit of bye week issues here. Fat Cat fortunate to catch hard hitters without probably the MVP of fantasy at the through 5 weeks, which is Alvin Kamara missing on bye. Derek Carr also missing on bye, who his points this year 18, 27, 22, 26, 28. It's not a sexy name, but he's been doing more than enough for the hitters, and the hitters
Yep.
currently lead the league in points. So nothing to scoff at here. I think Matt Breida, obviously, he's hamstrung with Kamara out and not a ton of depth. His wide receiver core of Ridley, Cup, and Thielen are phenomenal and scary every single week. He's going to be starting Cousins this week to give him the stack with Thielen. I like that. The Fat Cat dodges a bullet. Devin Singletary. The Bills were said to be in the mix for Lev Bell. Couldn't get it across the line.
Mhm.
He's going to be starting Andy Dalton, who's projected for 24 points, which feels really generous to me. Zach Ertz. Is Zach Ertz dead? What's going on there?
That's a weird one with Goddard out too. Like maybe Goddard was stealing some of his catches, and it was just kind of becoming a committee role there. But now with Goddard out, you would think Ertz would be a bona fide stud. I don't know. Maybe him and Wentz just aren't vibing. I feel like Wentz is just not vibing with anyone on that team. Maybe besides Fulham last week, but yeah, it's very strange because he was looking like to be up there with Kelsey and Kittle a few years ago, kind of being the three-headed monster there, and now he's just kind of faded into the abyss. I think even 11 points could just be getting by on name only. I mean, the last few weeks, 10, 9, 14, 6, and 1 last week. I mean,
Yeah.
just only two
Brutal.
out of 5 weeks over 10. So I think that 11 points is going off his name only and is a little generous at this point.
So one thing I'm noticing is Devonta Freeman on the bench at home versus the Washington football team. Do you start Devin Singletary or Devonta Freeman?
I think I would go Freeman. I mean, Singletary, the Bills, run game has been just kind of hit or miss. I feel like, even though Singletary does get his catches as well, but I don't know. I think Freeman showed, he's kind of the guy there, and he showed that he has a little bit of juice left that he had
Yeah, I
when
thought
he
he
was
looked
in
good last
Atlanta.
week.
Yeah, so I think I would take a chance on
Yeah,
Freeman. Then again,
Zach
Singletary's
Moss is back for Buffalo too, so you got to consider that. That
right.
really changes things for Singletary. That brings his opportunity share from 85 to 60, and that's
Exactly.
that's a big
Yeah.
difference. So I think if I'm Zach, I put Singletary on the bench this week in a game that feels like probably won't have a ton of running the football against Kansas City at home.
Right. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would probably go Freeman in for Singletary, but again, not a problem there. I'm going to go actually with the underdog this week. I'm going Fat Cat. I think he with Evans, Landry. I mean, I think with Breida, that's kind of the one weak spot for Hittas, and with Kamara being out, I think this is the week he goes down.
I'm going to take the upset with you. I think Fat Cat gets it done, and the Hitters' tough luck continues as being top scoring team in the league and may find himself sitting at 3-3 if he can't pull it out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to the Jibby Johns.
Ugh.
0-5, tough start to the year, a lot of injuries against the All Stars, who sit at 3-2. Another wheeler dealer. He thinks very highly of his team, which he seems to think every year. I think the eyes of the world were on the Jibby Johns last week. I think everyone was rooting against Jonnu Smith except possibly the owner of Jonnu Smith, and I forget who that is. But
Mm-hmm.
Jonnu Smith gets it done, takes the Jibs down, sitting at 0-5. Another pretty tough spot here. Who on your team are you excited about right now?
I'm excited to see what Godwin can do. That's kind of the one I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but that's the one guy I'm finally excited that I get one of my premier players back this week that I can just see how he's going to perform. Because that's been the hardest thing. The last few weeks I've had Thomas, Godwin, uh, and
Chubb.
Chubb all
Yeah.
out. So I couldn't even tell if these guys are, it's just all backups across the board. So I'm excited to see how Godwin does. Obviously, first week back, I'm not expecting too much. I'm going to go with, I'm going against me with Ty Man. That could be kind of a sneaky reverse jinx, but I think Ty Man, his team's good with Fitzpatrick and Parker. That's not the sexiest stack, but this week it is going against the Jets. That's kind of
Yeah.
one that I'm worried about. AJ Brown, looks like Tennessee. I mean, just one of their games I watched all the way through because they played the Bills last week. They look like they were rolling and vibing. They look great across the board. So, no, I like his team, and I just don't see my team putting up big points. I'm going to hang around that 95 to 100 number. So if he has a clunker, I'm going to be right there. But other than that, I can't get much higher than that right now.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Ty Mans. I think his team is just a little too well rounded to play against you right now, and you're missing your best player, Michael Thomas, on bye. Hopefully, he doesn't punch any more teammates in his bye week. The one interesting thing, Michael Gallup in there over Travis Fulgham, the $55 man. It'll be interesting to see if Tyler plays Gallup or if he trusts Fulgham enough against Baltimore in a game that Philly will likely be behind. We'll see what he decides there. I'd probably go Fulham if it's me because Gallup's been very hit or miss, and you want some consistency, I think, in a week when you're favored.
Yep, and exactly. And this is a week where he can maybe take a chance or two with Fulham and just see how he plays out. Because even if Fulham has a clunker, he's probably still gonna come out on top over the Johns. Unfortunately.
All right, well, moving on. We're all rooting for you to get a win, pal. But moving on, I don't think it's going to be this week, unfortunately. Moving on.
No.
Luchinator 3-2 against the 1-4 releasing Doves as things continue to spiral in Baltimore for Mr. Rhodes. Pretty close matchup on paper. Two of the least sexiest teams I've looked at in a long time. I don't see one player on here that I would want on my team. No, real bye week issues. Interesting that Julio had a full practice on Friday. Luchinator is missing Dalvin Cook. That's a good week for the Doves to catch him and hopefully get things back on track. Um, I like the matchups on the Luchinator side a little bit more.
Hmm.
Roethlisberger versus Cleveland. Cleveland's been pretty tough. I see that's going to be. I think it's going to be a hard fought game. Judy at New England. Um, his stack with Smith-Schuster is Cleveland, which is not easy. Burkhead and Adrian Peterson are his starting running backs, which is yikes. Robert Woods always a stud. Robert Tanyan, maybe he caught the new baby Kittle in Tanyan, and that could help him. This is a toss up. I don't know which way you're leaning here.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, I, I know Rhodes. I do like his team, and he has some serious wide receiver not depth, with Judy, Smith-Schuster, Woods, and then Jones on the bench. Tanyan, I mean, he has maybe the best tight end duo in the league because you have Gesicki. That was kind of my surprise. I was surprised to see Gesicki on the bench because he has a
He's
great
been great.
matchup this week,
Yeah.
and he's been awesome. But it's just his running backs are rough. On the other side of the ball, I think Gurley caught lightning in a bottle last week and had a great week. I like Luchinator's team too. I think I'm going underdog, which is surprising because with the 1-4 kind of reeling Doves being the favorite here, but I'm going to go Luchinator, the underdog. I just think he has more of a kind of a lower floor rather than a higher ceiling. I think Doves has a higher ceiling this week, but yeah, I'm going to go Luchinator, and I actually think you keep Jones on the bench this week, possibly. I guess maybe put him in for Judy
Yeah, I
if
would
Jones
bench
is
Judy.
playing. Yeah,
I think if he's full practice on Friday and going to play, that's your guy against Minnesota, who's been very friendly to opposing wide receivers. I think Judy ultimately finds the bench. And to me, that is enough, and barely, because I look at his running backs, which is Rex Burkhead and Adrian Peterson, and he's going to pray for double digits from both of them. And I don't think there's enough rosary beads in the world to get that done. But
yeah.
I will take the favorite. I'll take the Doves to get to 2-4, although I think it's going to be a close one. Last matchup of the week, another good one. The Clifford's Cool Cats sitting at 4-1 with the highest projected score of the week at 145 points against the Toon Squad, who has found his way at 3-2. He certainly has some issues, but he gets his key piece, Devontae Parker, back, who the last time we saw him,
Adam,
Devontae Adams. The last time
I
we
was going to
saw
say,
him
I think I'm playing.
in full game action, had 41 points in week one with 14 catches on 17 targets. Nice to get him back, pair him with Galladay, add in Lamar Jackson against Philly. And, the rest of it isn't pretty. Gaskin, Gibson, Jonnu, who's been quietly really freaking good.
He has been good. He's kind of been the Delaney. What's
Yeah, Delaney
shoot,
Walker.
Delaney Walker. I
I
can't believe I
mean,
forgot his name. He's my boy.
I know you've had him for a decade. Um,
He
Delaney, if
kind
you're
of took his
listening,
place
sorry.
for whatever reason. Tennessee tight ends they get it done.
They do. And, he has 5 receiving touchdowns. He has 2 multi-touchdown games, 2 weeks over 20 points. He's been the tight end 1, I believe, in fantasy, and that's with a bye week. So
Wow.
no one, he's not someone to sleep on anymore. Johnny Smith is good, and we'll continue to see action. On the other side, though, this team is fearsome. You got Patty Mahomes against Buffalo in what should be a shootout because Buffalo has struggled to stop anyone's passing game this year. You got Nuck Hopkins at Dallas, another great spot. A-Rob at Carolina, which is a good spot. Mixon at Indy is not a good spot. And Mixon has really become one of these guys that he's going to give you a couple 30-point weeks, but more times than not, it's going to be 14 points, I think.
Right. It's crazy seeing he has 7, 12, 8, 42, 15. So it's that 42-point game was obviously the outlier. Other than that, if you say, okay, that's kind of his average, he gets 10 points that game and he goes 7, 12, 8, 10, 15. That really shows what he is, which isn't very good, which is a surprise because I feel like they're relying on him and Burrow's been serviceable. So I'm surprised at how, I don't want to say poor he's doing, but kind of how average he's been.
If I had to ask you, how many targets do you think Robbie Anderson is on pace for? What do you think the answer would be?
For the season?
For the season, through 5 weeks, if you extrapolate that out.
Would it be 100?
Almost 150. It's probably like 145. He has 47 targets through 5 weeks.
Wow.
He's been
So 10 a game.
Yeah, 10 a game. He's
essentially.
been one of the biggest surprises of the season, and he adds a really dangerous flex spot to an already dangerous Cool Cats team.
Yeah.
Um, Kenyon Drake finds his way to the bench. Want to talk about Robbie Anderson being the biggest surprise on the upside. Kenyon Drake has been the biggest disappointment. He
Hmm.
scored last week and only had 13 points. He's
Wow.
benchable.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, to start Miles Gaskin and Antonio Gibson over Kenyon Drake, who probably caught, I think it was like 50, $55 for Drake. That hurts Toon Squad. We'll see if Drake gets it going, but it feels like Edmonds is taking a huge chunk of that now because frankly he's a better player.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if there's enough here to get the upset done. I think this is Clifford's week to lose. If he lays an egg, I think Toon Squad can get it done, but I think I just see a little too much firepower. I'm going with the chalk. I'm taking the Cats to get to 5-1.
I'm actually going to roll the other way. I'm going to go Toon Squad. I like Jackson going against Philly. Gaskin going against the Jets. The Jets do have a good run defense, if anything, but I think he's pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield. So I like Gaskin this week, and he's been good the last few weeks. He's been only 1 week out of the 5 under 10 points, so he's been a stud. Gibson's perfectly serviceable. And yeah, I just like that Jackson, Adams, Galladay, those top 3. I think they could be, upwards around 70 points or something like that.
Yeah,
Even
easily.
more, yeah, 80 maybe something like that if they
Right.
go off. So
I
I
mean,
like
yeah.
that top 3. I think that's going to win it for them.
I mean, Adams and Jackson both have league-winning weekly upside. So to have both
Right.
those on the same team is pretty scary to play against, even if the rest of it is flex sealed together.
Hmm.
Uh, all right. Well, that is all the matchups. Any other closing comments, Mr. Johns?
I don't think so. I think we go to the lead pipe locks.
The lead pipe locks of the week.
Lead pipe locks. I will let you lead us off.
All right, I'm going to go with. Let's see here. I mean, this is a tough week because I'm not going to go with any of the 0-5 teams. Those are a little too easy to go off of. But I think I'm going to go with lead pipe lock. Going to roll with the underdog Luch. That's going against releasing Dubs. Dubs has a good week or a good team this week. I like his team this week. Projected at 107, but I like Watson. OBJ seems to have found a little bit, even though he's going against Pitt. That's not a good spot there. But Justin Jefferson's looked like a stud. I just like his team this week. Maybe it's my hope that Doves goes to 1-5, just because he's one guy that I'm eyeing up other than Teflon that I want to beat out. But I think Luchinator is my lock of the week.
I will be a bully. I will pick on an 0-5 team, and I will pick on the Teflon Don. With Josh Jacobs on bye, there is no fucking chance he beats the 4-1 Buffaloes. Hopefully, this lights a fire under Teflon. Maybe he even logs into the internet this week and sees our video. But there's just not a whole lot on this team. I think Kipper has a bye week and moves to 5-1.
Yep, I like the Buffaloes this week. I'm a little worried about Beasley being his wide receivers Fuller, Beasley, and Brown. A little worried about that just because Beasley, I feel like when Brown's back, he doesn't do as much.
Yeah.
He will get a few catches here and there. He's actually been really good He's actually been really good all year. Actually, I can't bite my tongue. He's
Yeah,
hasn't
I mean,
had
as a
yeah
flex, it's been solid.
9, 12, 16, 12, 11. It's pretty good there. I definitely quiet. He's actually almost been better than John Brown. John Brown does have the few. Well, he had a goose egg week 3, and then he obviously missed last week due to injury. But yeah, so maybe bite my tongue a little bit there. I kind of like Beasley. So we'll see. I think that is a good lead pipe, though. I don't think Kipper's losing this week. I think Buffalo's rolled to 5-1.
So for the Buffalo's outlook, Zeke Elliott, how does this change your outlook with Dak going down? Is it net? He's going to get more touches with Dalton in, but it's going to be obviously a less explosive offense. Does it net out, or do you think Zeke's year-long outlook is harmed, or possibly even probably make the case improved with them
Yeah,
leaning on him more?
I think it kind of nets out. I don't think it's as big as a decrease as people are thinking. I mean, obviously Dak's been so good this year, but he's been coming from behind, so his numbers have been really good. But I've had Dak a few years in the past. I don't know. I don't think he's an elite quarterback where it'd be like losing a top guy. And Dalton's serviceable. If he can come in, he has plenty of weapons. He's a Texas guy. I think he might be better than people think. And the kind of drawback or reversion, I guess, won't be as big as it could be. So I think Zeke will actually go up a little bit because he'll be because I think Dalton will be serviceable. He'll be good, and then Zeke will actually get more carries and stuff like that. So I think he'll go a little bit up, but basically net out.
Am I hearing you say there's going to be a quarterback controversy in the Big D?
He's not getting paid, that's for sure. Not getting paid as much as he would. I don't think there's going to be a quarterback controversy when he comes back. I think Dak earned his right there, but I don't know. I don't think Dalton's going to be as bad as people think. Like, oh, Cowboys are done now. Dalton's in. I think he comes out. He has a little bit of a break. He gets away from that bad situation and with the Bungles, and actually turns out to be pretty decent.
All right. Well, we're on 30 minutes, so let's call it here. Hope everyone has a good week. Let's stay healthy. Let's have some fun, and let's win some money. Commissioner out.
Let's do it.